I need to tell you something that might be hard to hear, but it's absolutely essential if you want to transform your financial reality. Right now, in this very moment, you might be magnetically repelling money without even knowing it. Not because you're a bad person. Not because you don't work hard enough. Not because you don't deserve wealth. But because you're carrying what I call a quantum scarcity signature, an energetic pattern so deeply embedded in your field that it actively pushes money away from you. And the most dangerous part? You can't see it. It's invisible to you because it feels normal. It feels like just who you are. But it's not who you are. It's a pattern you learned, a frequency you absorbed, and most importantly, it's something you can change once you understand what it is and how it works. Think about a magnet for a moment. When you hold two magnets together with the same poles facing each other, they repel. You can feel the force pushing them apart. No matter how hard you try to bring them together, they resist. That invisible force is real, it's powerful, and it's constant. Now imagine that your energy field is like a magnet, and money has its own magnetic frequency. If your quantum scarcity signature is creating the same pole as money, you're literally repelling it. You can work harder, hustle more, try every strategy in the book, but that invisible force is always there, pushing money away. And this is why so many people feel like they're working so hard but never getting ahead. They're fighting against their own quantum scarcity signature, and they don't even know it exists. The quantum scarcity signature isn't just a belief. It's not something you can change by repeating affirmations or thinking positive thoughts. It's a complex energetic pattern that exists at the quantum level of your being. It's made up of old traumas around money, inherited beliefs from your family lineage, societal programming about what you deserve, past experiences of financial pain, and deep subconscious fears about what it means to have wealth. All of these elements combine to create a specific quantum frequency that you're broadcasting constantly. And the universe, which always responds to frequency, keeps giving you experiences that match that signal. You're not attracting lack because you're unlucky. You're magnetically pulling it toward you because that's the frequency you're emitting. Let me take you into my own story because I carried a massive quantum scarcity signature for years without realizing it. I grew up watching my parents fight about money constantly. The energy in our house whenever bills came was heavy, tense, full of fear and anger. I absorbed that frequency as a child. Money meant stress. Money meant fighting. Money meant never enough. And even though I consciously wanted wealth as an adult, even though I told myself I deserved abundance, my quantum field was still carrying that childhood signature of scarcity. So what happened? I would make money and immediately have some emergency that required it. I would get a raise and my expenses would mysteriously increase to match it. I would land a big client and then go through a dry spell. I was on this perpetual financial roller coaster, and I couldn't understand why. I was doing everything right on the surface, but underneath, my quantum scarcity signature was running the show. The breakthrough came when I started studying quantum field theory and realized that my financial reality wasn't random. It was a perfect reflection of my energetic signature. And that signature was pure scarcity. I was walking around broadcasting, not enough, never enough, money is hard, I'm not safe, at the quantum level, and the universe was saying, okay, here's more of that. Once I understood this, everything made sense. The problem wasn't out there in the economy or the job market or my circumstances. The problem was in here, in my quantum field. And that was actually good news because it meant I had the power to change it. I couldn't control the external world, but I could absolutely transform my quantum scarcity signature into what I now call a quantum abundance signature. And when I did that, my entire financial reality shifted in ways that seemed impossible. So how do you know if you're carrying a quantum scarcity signature? Let me give you some signs that you can check for yourself right now. First, notice what happens in your body when you think about money. Do you feel contraction? Tension in your chest or stomach? A tightening in your throat? That physical response is your quantum scarcity signature revealing itself. Your body is holding the frequency of lack, and it's broadcasting that frequency into the quantum field every single moment. Second, look at your patterns with money. Do you make it and immediately lose it? Do you have unexpected expenses that wipe out your savings? Do you feel guilty when you spend money on yourself? Do you feel anxious when you have to pay bills? These aren't just random occurrences. They're symptoms of a quantum scarcity signature. Third, pay attention to your thoughts about wealthy people. Do you judge them? Do you think they must have done something wrong to get their money? Do you feel resentment or envy? That's your quantum scarcity signature creating separation between you and wealth. As long as you're subconsciously rejecting wealthy people, you're rejecting wealth itself. You can't attract what you're judging. You can't become what you resent. The quantum field doesn't work that way. Fourth, notice your language around money. Do you say things like, "I can't afford that," or "money doesn't grow on trees," or "I'm just not good with money"? Every time you speak those words, you're reinforcing your quantum scarcity signature. You're telling the universe, "This is who I am, give me more evidence of this reality." And the universe always obliges. Here's what's really happening at the quantum level when you carry a scarcity signature. Remember, everything in the universe is energy vibrating at different frequencies. Money has a frequency. Abundance has a frequency. And scarcity has a frequency. When your quantum field is vibrating at the frequency of scarcity, you're essentially broadcasting a signal that says, "I am separate from wealth, I am lacking, I am not enough." The quantum field, which is always organizing reality to match your dominant frequency, responds by creating more experiences of separation from wealth, more experiences of lacking, more evidence that you're not enough. It's not personal. It's not punishment. It's just quantum mechanics. The field is neutral. It simply mirrors back whatever frequency you're holding most consistently. Now, here's where it gets really important to understand. Your quantum scarcity signature is not just about not having money. It's about your identity. It's about who you believe you are at the deepest level. For most people carrying this signature, there's a part of them that has built their entire identity around struggle, around not having enough, around being the person who has to work harder than everyone else. And here's the scary part. There's often a subconscious benefit to staying in that identity. Maybe it makes you feel noble, like you're more spiritual than materialistic people. Maybe it gives you something to bond with others about. Maybe it protects you from the responsibility and visibility that comes with wealth. Whatever the reason, that subconscious investment in the scarcity identity is what keeps the quantum scarcity signature locked in place. I remember discovering this in my own field and feeling devastated. I realized that part of me actually didn't want to be wealthy because I had this deep belief that struggling made me a good person. I had this story that people who had money were superficial and disconnected from real life, and I prided myself on being deep and authentic. But that belief was costing me everything. It was keeping me trapped in financial struggle while telling myself it was somehow virtuous. Once I saw that pattern clearly, once I brought it into conscious awareness, I could make a different choice. I could decide that being wealthy doesn't make me superficial. I could hold the truth that I can have money and depth, abundance and authenticity, wealth and integrity. But I had to consciously choose to release that old identity and the quantum scarcity signature that came with it. So how do you reverse the quantum scarcity signature? How do you transform it into a quantum abundance signature that magnetically attracts money instead of repelling it? The first step is radical awareness. You have to get brutally honest with yourself about the scarcity patterns you're running. This isn't about judging yourself or feeling bad. It's about seeing clearly what's actually there. Take some time to journal on these questions. What did I learn about money growing up? What are my parents' and grandparents' relationships with money? What's my earliest memory of feeling lack? What do I believe about wealthy people? What would I lose if I became wealthy? What am I afraid would happen if I had a lot of money? Your answers to these questions will reveal the structure of your quantum scarcity signature. The second step is quantum release. Once you've identified the patterns, you need to release them from your energetic field. This isn't about just deciding to let go intellectually. You have to release the patterns from your body, from your nervous system, from your quantum field. One powerful practice is to sit quietly and bring your awareness to any part of your body where you feel contraction around money. Maybe it's your chest, your stomach, your shoulders. Breathe into that contraction. Feel it fully without trying to change it. And then, as you exhale, imagine that contraction releasing from your body like smoke dispersing into the air. You're literally clearing the quantum scarcity signature from your field. Do this practice daily, and you'll start to feel your body relaxing around money. That relaxation is the beginning of transformation. The third step is quantum reprogramming. You can't just remove the scarcity signature, you have to replace it with something else. Nature abhors a vacuum, and so does your quantum field. If you clear the scarcity pattern but don't install a new abundance pattern, the old one will just come back. So once you've done the release work, you need to deliberately program a quantum abundance signature into your field. This is where visualization becomes crucial, but not the kind of surface-level visualization most people do. You need to drop into your body and feel what abundance feels like at the cellular level. Imagine your ideal financial reality with such detail and emotional intensity that your body believes it's real. Because to your body, to your subconscious, to your quantum field, there's no difference between a vividly imagined experience and a real one. Here's a specific practice I use to reprogram my quantum abundance signature. Every morning for 30 days, I would sit in meditation and visualize my bank account with the amount of money I wanted to manifest. But I didn't just see the numbers. I felt what it felt like to have that money. I noticed how my breathing changed. It became deeper, more relaxed. I noticed how my shoulders dropped away from my ears. I noticed this warm sensation of safety and freedom spreading through my chest. I would stay in that feeling state for at least 15 minutes, letting every cell of my body absorb the frequency of abundance. And here's what's crucial. I did this before I looked at my actual bank account. I programmed the quantum abundance signature first thing, before the physical reality could pull me back into scarcity consciousness. The fourth step is quantum consistency. This is where most people fail in their manifestation work. They do the practices for a few days, don't see immediate results, and give up. They go right back to their old quantum scarcity signature without even realizing it. But changing your quantum signature isn't like flipping a switch. It's like training a muscle. You have to do it consistently over time until the new pattern becomes stronger than the old one. The quantum field responds to your dominant frequency, which means the frequency you hold most often, not just occasionally. If you practice abundance consciousness for 1 hour a day but spend the other 23 hours in scarcity consciousness, the scarcity signature wins. You have to make abundance your new baseline, your new default frequency. This is where quantum awareness comes in. Throughout your day, you need to catch yourself when you slip back into scarcity thinking. When you're about to say, "I can't afford that," stop yourself. When you feel that familiar contraction in your chest about money, pause and breathe into it. When you start judging someone for having wealth, notice it and choose a different thought. Every single time you catch yourself in scarcity consciousness and consciously shift to abundance consciousness, you're weakening the old quantum scarcity signature and strengthening your new quantum abundance signature. It's like you're retraining your quantum field, and with enough repetition, the new pattern becomes automatic. Let me tell you what happened when I committed to this process fully. The first week was the hardest because I kept catching myself in scarcity patterns constantly. It was almost shocking how many times a day I was broadcasting lack without realizing it. But I stayed with it. Every time I noticed scarcity thinking, I would pause, take a breath, and deliberately shift to abundance thinking. I would feel into the frequency of having more than enough. I would appreciate the abundance that was already present. And slowly, day by day, I started to feel different. The constant anxiety about money started to ease. The contraction in my chest when I paid bills started to relax. I began to feel this quiet confidence that I would always be supported. And then the external reality started to shift. Money began showing up in unexpected ways. A client who owed me money from 6 months ago suddenly paid me. Someone gifted me something I was about to buy. I got a speaking opportunity that paid triple my normal fee. My business started attracting higher quality clients who paid more. And the most interesting part was that I wasn't working any harder than before. In fact, I was working less because I had stopped operating from that desperate, scarcity-driven hustle. I was now taking action from my quantum abundance signature, and those actions were far more effective with far less effort. This is the power of reversing your quantum signature. The universe stops resisting you and starts supporting you because you've finally aligned with the frequency of what you want. Here's something crucial to understand about the quantum scarcity signature. It's often generational. You didn't just develop it in this lifetime. You inherited aspects of it from your family lineage. Your parents' relationship with money, your grandparents' experiences of lack, maybe even traumas around money that happened generations ago, all of that is encoded in your quantum field. This is what's called epigenetic inheritance in science, and it's very real. The good news is that when you transform your quantum scarcity signature, you're not just changing your own life. You're breaking a generational pattern. You're creating a new template that your children and their children can inherit. You're becoming the one who shifts the entire lineage from scarcity to abundance. When I understood this, it gave me even more motivation to do the work. I wasn't just doing it for myself. I was doing it for my entire family line, past and future. I was becoming the pattern interrupt, the one who says, the scarcity stops here. And I encourage you to hold that same vision for yourself. When you transform your quantum scarcity signature into a quantum abundance signature, you're not just changing your bank account. You're changing your legacy. You're rewriting the quantum code that gets passed down through your family. You're giving future generations a different starting point, a different baseline frequency. That's powerful work, and it's worth every bit of effort it takes. There's another aspect of the quantum scarcity signature that we need to address: the way it shows up in your relationship with receiving. Most people with this signature are actually terrible at receiving. They can work hard, they can give to others, but when someone tries to give to them, they deflect. They say, "Oh, you didn't have to do that," or "I can't accept this," or "Let me pay you back." Every time you do that, you're reinforcing your quantum scarcity signature. You're telling the universe, "I'm not worthy of receiving, I'm not comfortable with abundance flowing to me." And the universe responds by shutting off the flow. Reversing this pattern means learning to receive with grace and gratitude. When someone wants to buy you lunch, let them. When someone offers you a gift, accept it with genuine appreciation. When someone pays you a compliment, receive it instead of deflecting it. These small moments of receiving are actually quantum practices that train your field to be open to abundance. Because here's the truth: if you can't receive a free lunch, how are you going to receive $10,000? If you can't receive a compliment, how are you going to receive a business opportunity? Your capacity to receive in small things determines your capacity to receive in big things. The quantum field doesn't distinguish between the size of what's being offered. It only reads whether your field is open or closed to receiving. I had to completely relearn how to receive. I noticed that whenever someone tried to give me something, I would immediately feel uncomfortable and try to give something back to make it even. That was my quantum scarcity signature in action. The belief that I didn't deserve to receive without giving equal or more in return. But abundance doesn't work that way. Abundance is a flow, not a transaction. Sometimes you give more. Sometimes you receive more. And both are equally important. Learning to receive without guilt, without feeling like I owed something back, was one of the most challenging and transformative parts of reversing my quantum scarcity signature. And as I became more comfortable receiving in small ways, I started to receive in bigger ways. The quantum field was responding to my new openness. Let's talk about quantum shame because this is a huge component of the scarcity signature that most people don't recognize. There's often deep shame associated with not having money, with struggling financially, with not being where you think you should be. That shame is incredibly toxic to your quantum field. Shame is one of the lowest, densest frequencies in the human emotional spectrum, and when it's directed at your financial situation, it creates a quantum scarcity signature that's almost impenetrable. Because shame makes you want to hide, to contract, to make yourself small. And you can't manifest abundance from a place of making yourself small. Releasing quantum shame around money requires compassion. It requires you to look at your financial situation, however difficult it might be, and meet it with kindness instead of judgment. Your current financial reality is not a reflection of your worth as a human being. It's not evidence that you're a failure or that something is wrong with you. It's simply a reflection of the quantum signature you've been holding, most of which you inherited or absorbed unconsciously. And now that you know that, now that you understand how it works, you can change it with compassion and patience. You don't have to beat yourself up for being in scarcity. You just have to make a different choice going forward. I spent years in financial shame, hiding my situation from others, pretending I was doing better than I was, feeling like a failure because I couldn't seem to get ahead. That shame was reinforcing my quantum scarcity signature every single day. When I finally gave myself permission to be honest about where I was without making it mean something about my worth, everything shifted. I could look at my bank account and feel compassion for myself instead of shame. I could talk about my financial struggles without feeling like I was admitting some terrible secret. And that release of shame created space for a new frequency to emerge, the frequency of abundance and self-worth. Here's what I need you to really understand. Your quantum scarcity signature is not the truth of who you are. It's just a pattern, a program, a frequency that you've been running. And patterns can be changed. Programs can be rewritten. Frequencies can be shifted. You are not doomed to a life of financial struggle. You are not somehow fundamentally broken or lacking. You're just carrying an energetic signature that doesn't match what you want, and now you know how to change it. The power has always been in your hands. You just didn't know you had access to it until now. The process of reversing your quantum scarcity signature and installing a quantum abundance signature is one of the most profound transformations you can experience. Because it's not just about money. It affects every area of your life. When you shift from scarcity to abundance at the quantum level, you start showing up differently in your relationships. You become more generous, more open, more trusting. You show up differently in your career. You take more risks, you ask for what you're worth, you pursue bigger opportunities. You show up differently in your relationship with yourself. You treat yourself better, you invest in yourself, you honor your needs and desires. Abundance consciousness is life-changing in ways that go far beyond your bank account. And here's the beautiful part. Once you reverse your quantum scarcity signature and establish a strong quantum abundance signature, it becomes self-reinforcing. Just like scarcity created more scarcity, abundance creates more abundance. You start to expect good things. You start to notice opportunities. You start to feel deserving of wealth. And those expectations, those observations, those feelings create even stronger quantum entanglement with abundance. You enter an upward spiral where abundance feeds more abundance. This is how wealthy people stay wealthy, not just because they have money, but because they have an abundance signature that magnetically attracts more wealth. You're at a choice point right now. You can continue carrying your quantum scarcity signature, continuing to magnetically repel the money you want while wondering why nothing ever changes. Or you can make the decision right now to begin the process of reversing that signature, of transforming it into a quantum abundance signature that draws wealth to you effortlessly. The universe is waiting for your decision. The quantum field is ready to respond to your new frequency. All you have to do is commit to the transformation and show up for yourself every single day until the new signature becomes your new normal. And I promise you, when you do that work consistently, your financial reality will transform in ways that seem miraculous but are actually just quantum mechanics in action. If you're ready to release your quantum scarcity signature and step into quantum abundance, type the words "I am abundant" in the comments. Make that declaration. Let the universe hear your new frequency. Let your quantum field begin reorganizing around those words. This is your moment to choose abundance over scarcity, expansion over contraction, wealth over struggle. The power is in your hands.